Same principle. All right?
Okay.
And so the value of one currency versus the other, so if you're going to put dollar here and euro here, the same principles exist, right? So if there's an increase in the demand for the euro versus the dollar, what's going to happen to the demand curve? Huh? It's going to shift that way. All right? Okay. Well, let me finish up this and then we'll come back to the curves. All right, so I will just go through the slides and I'll come back to the illustration, right? So when a currency, one currency decreases relative to another, all right? The value of one currency decreases relative to another, that is referred to as depreciation, all right? I know you've seen something on the board, but I'm explaining it in a different way. So let me read what's on the board and then I'll. So depreciation is an increase in the domestic price of a foreign currency. In other words, if it takes more euros to buy US dollars, it means that the euro has depreciated against the US. All right? So depreciation is an increase in the domestic price of a foreign currency. So if we're using euros and US dollars, if it takes more money, more of the euro to buy one US dollar, then the euro has depreciated. All right? Then appreciation is a decrease in the domestic price of a foreign currency. In other words, if it takes less euro to buy one US, then the euro has appreciated. All right? Any questions? And no, you're not, probably won't get it until you actually see it in practice, right? Foreign exchange rates or foreign currency rates are quoted in two ways. You have what you call a direct quote. So that is the dollars received for 1 unit of a foreign currency, right? And you have an indirect quote, and in this case we're using the US dollar as our reference point. The indirect quote is the amount of the foreign currency received for each US dollar. All right? So if we were looking at the EC versus the US, what would be a direct quote? Okay, if one EC, one US is 270 EC, what is one EC in US? How much US you get for one EC? I'll leave it to work that out on how to the bathroom.
27 cents.
If one US gives you 270 EC, how much US will you get for one EC?
Do the math. Pull out your calculator. Just divide 270 by 1. Or 1 by 270. Hold on. This is telling me. That seems odd. If 1 US is equal to $10 is equal to $3.07. You didn't eat breakfast?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Sleepy then. Yeah, I was kind of dozing off a little. Oh. You just divide 1 by 270, but I get 37 cents. What about you? I'm here wondering if it's right, because it seems kind of odd. But I don't know. It holds true because we have 10 US and we want, but yeah, and we want EC dollars. You would say it's $3.70. So it holds true. So we get 37 cents. Seems odd. You keep watching your eyes bothering you? In what way?
They get watery and a bit red.
You didn't sleep much?
Last night, no.
Boyfriend? I don't know. Welcome, I don't. I'm just wondering why wouldn't sleep? Is studying something?
I was trying to do a project. Didn't get much progress with that.
Quantitative methods?
No, financial management.
Okay. But like you, I'm sure you have time during the day. Like, let me see, tomorrow? You have class tomorrow?
At 6.
Exactly, say like you have all day tomorrow to do to still, right? Oh, it's up to you. But I guess it's when you're in the mood, I guess.
Yeah, so how much US you get for one EC?
37 cents.
37 cents.
37 cents.
37 cents.
How much?
37 cents.
37 cents?
37 cents.
If we use the same 270. Right.
37 cents. Okay. How you worked it out? 120
By
cents.
270.
Right. Okay, good. So, okay, good. So, how would you write the direct quote for EC to US? EC, the direct quote for EC to US. How you write that?
Well, I would say just like that one, yeah. Just like that, yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
All right, good. So you have your direct quote, you have your indirect quote, and then you have your cross exchange rate, right? The cross exchange rate. The cross exchange rate between is the exchange rate between, I'm gonna say it as exchange rate between three currencies. So it's the exchange rate between, let's say it's EC, US, and Euro, all right? So the exchange rate, the cross exchange rate is going to be the EC and the US given the rate between the EC and the Euro. All right, so let's look at it this way. So you know what the rate is between the EC and the US, right?
Yes.
What is the rate between the EC and the Euro if you only had EC and US rate? So you want to know the EC Euro rate with respect to the US dollar. I know, sounds confusing, right? Sound confusing? No? You don't sound confusing?
I read ahead though.
All right, tell me. So tell us.
Okay. Well, it's just that you
Talk up, man. Talk loud.
well, of course, to change from EC to Euro, you have to go through to the US first, the US currency.
Right.
So you change from EC to US, and then you change from US to Euro, and that's how you get the Euro currency.
All right, so what would be the EC to the Euro? Give us an example.
Okay, so so let's say I have $100 EC, and I want to get it to Euro.
You have
100.
100 EC.
Yes.
All right.
And I want to get it to Euro. First,
You
I have
want
to go
buy
Euro in. You have to get Euro.
Euro. All right, but you don't have access
To Euro.
to Euro.
No.
So let's so you can only buy US.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
You can't buy Euro directly. You can only buy US. So you need US to buy Euro. Okay, go ahead now.
Okay, so I would have to change it to US by
Okay.
converting it to
So you're
US
gonna convert EC
to Euro.
to US.
To US, yes. Okay.
All right. So you have 100 EC. So how much US you gonna get for it?
I think it's 27.
Hmm?
Is it 27 or
$27. $37.
37? 37. Sorry, I don't know. $37, right?
Mhm.
And then you change from the
You're gonna
US,
take your US.
and convert it to Euro.
Okay. So US $37.
Change to Euro.
So what you're gonna have to do, you're gonna have to figure out
Exchange rate.
exchange rate between
US and Euro.
the US and the Euro. All right. So
I can look
what
it
is
up.
that?
You have to look it up.
So how do you find the exchange rate between the US and the Euro?
I'm gonna look it up.
Go ahead, Silas, tell us. Silas, like, why is she making this so difficult? It's easy.
Well, it
Tell us
says
what we
here.
do.
You just Google it.
That was given, okay. So I didn't give it to you, so what are you gonna do? You got to Google. Huh?
0.96.
0.96 what?
Let's see.
So how much
Calculator.
euros you gonna get? Huh?
Yeah, 0.96. I'll multiply 0.96. Multiply.
0.96.
So it's gonna get 35.52.
All right, so tell me how you got that.
Well, it
So how did you see the 0.96? Is it dollar 0.96 or is it 1 over 0 point? Sorry, not did the wrong ways.
1901.
Is that how the rate is given? I'm not
It
even
just
looking
says
for
like
it.
one US slash 0.96 euro. 1 US slash 0.96 euro.
Okay. So 1 US gives you
0.96 euro dollars or euro.
1 US gives you 96 euro cents.
Cents.
Interesting, let's see. Usually euro is stronger than US.
Well, I just Google. No, not today at least. On Google from 12th February. Yeah, it's true. You always said that.
1 billion euros, $1.04.
Fluctuates.
Yeah,
I didn't ask you that.
1 euro is $1.02.
I asked it for US, I asked it for US euro, it gave me easy euro.
Really? This, what is this saying? This is what it says for US and Euro on Google.
It's still doing that.
Okay.
This is, it's still giving me the wrong thing. I don't want the euro rate, I want the US. USD. Oh.
Still giving me that. Yes, I'm pretty
So
sure.
1 US is 96 euro cents,
Mhm.
all right?
Currently.
Okay. So how much euros you gonna get? You're gonna get your 37
Times.
times or divide.
Multiply. Times.
So it's 35. Huh?
Yeah. Euro.
All right, so 100 EC gives you 35.52 euros. So 1 EC is going to give you
35.52. Wait.
one,
Not it.
100
EC.
EC
Right. Gives you
gives you
35.52
35.52 euros. So 1 EC gives you
35 cents.
no 1 EC dollar gives you how much euro?
Let me check.
What?
36 cents.
36 cents.
Or 35.52 cents, so you say 36 cents. All right?
Sure. 5.52 cents. Okay.
All right? So you had to go from EC to US, US to Europe, right? To be able to get euros, because if, for example, you could not get euros, you would have to go out in the market, buy the US in order to get the euro. And that's where cross rates become important. But we're not doing the actual, this class, we're not going to be doing the actual calculations. We'll do that. We'll do some of that. I will have the tutorial, your tutorial lecturer to do that with you, and then we will do some revision next week. All right, before we start the next part of what we're going to do. So you have direct quotes, you have indirect quotes, and you have cross exchange rates. All right, so those are the three. When we're talking about exchange rates and quotations, those are the three we refer to. Direct quote, indirect quote, and cross rates. So direct and indirect is between two currencies, and cross rate is between three. Okay? All right. Now, when you are doing business or transacting in foreign currency, we refer to it either as a spot transaction or a forward transaction. A spot foreign exchange transaction means that you're settling up to 2 days. Your settlement, so your spot rate means what it is today, but your settlement is up to 2 days. When we say settlement, what we talk about is when you actually get the transaction completed. So, if you are wiring funds to the UK, all right, the bank is going to tell you that this transaction won't settle until the next day or 2 days later. That is still considered a spot transaction, because it is what is the rate today that you will get for that transaction you did today. So that's your spot, and that can go up to 2 days settlement, right? Then you have forward, so that's a spot settlement date. So your spot foreign exchange transaction is your transaction you're doing now, what they refer to as immediate settlement, but it can go for up to 2 days. Settle within 2 days, right? A forward exchange rate or forward transaction is different, because what you're doing is you are deciding on a rate today, but you're gonna get settlement sometime in the future, not within the next day or the next 2 days, but down the line. So a forward foreign exchange transaction is the exchange of currencies at a specific exchange rate, known as the forward rate, which is settled at a specified date in the future. All right, so spot is immediate, and forward is sometime in the future. All right, and we will talk about why you would get involved in a forward transaction versus a spot transaction. All right, we'll talk about that. That is going to be part of how firms manage exchange rate fluctuations, how they manage exchange rate risk. Now so we spoke about spot, we spoke about forward. So spot exchange rate is immediate transaction. Forward exchange rate is a rate specified to settle sometime in the future. We have something called the effective exchange rate. All right? Effective exchange rate is what we refer to as the weighted average of the exchange rate between the domestic currency and the country's most important trading partners. What happens there is that, okay, but again, I tend to use the US as a reference because it's easier.
Okay.
So if you had, it's the international, it's one of the international currencies that we can relate to more, right? Than let's say the euro. You don't talk about the euro every day. All right, and you tend not to see euro transactions every day. So if we were to look at the US, so the effective exchange rate, or the effective US exchange rate is going to be the weighted average between the exchange rates of the US between the euro, the US between the pound sterling, US between Germany, if those are the most significant or important trading partners. All right? So if you ever hear about the effective exchange rate, it really talks about, it's really about that exchange rate, the value of the US dollar versus those three currencies. All right? So it just gives you a sense of how the US dollar is performing against those currencies that it does most of its trade with, or those countries that it does most of its trade with. Okay, it's not something that you hear every day. It's not something that that's going to be out there in the market. Okay? So let's see. If you were to Google what is the effective US exchange rate, what would it say? Nice for you to read. When you Google it, what you got? When you look for the effective US exchange rate, tell me what you get.
I'm not sure what you're supposed to Google this.
It give you a whole lot of it give you all sorts of options, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Sure.
So for you to really get that, you're gonna have to go to the entity that does those calculations, which is the Bank for International Settlement. In other words, I was just making a point. You're not going to walk around and hear people talking about the effective US exchange rate. All right? That rate is really just used to measure how the US is performing with its trading partners. So once again, your balance of payments comes into play there. All right? Now, within the foreign exchange market, you have persons who deal in the market for necessity because they need to do so. And then you have persons who operate in the market to make a profit. All right? Those people are called arbitrageurs, the people who are looking to make a profit They're called arbitrageurs. So arbitrage refers to the purchase of a currency in the monetary center. And when we talk about the monetary center, we're talking about some place like London, which is considered a monetary center, or the United States, all right, where it is cheaper for immediate resale in the monetary center. Sorry, let me start over. So, where this arbitrage occurs, where you can purchase a currency at a cheaper rate and sell it at a higher rate, so you make a profit. All right? So there are people who, there are arbitrageurs who in the foreign exchange market who look to be able to purchase at a currency at a lower rate and sell it at a higher rate. And those things will occur because of asymmetric information. All right? Asymmetric information meaning not everybody has the same information. And then the arbitrageurs will also use mismatches between forwards and futures, which we'll talk about a little later on. All right? So arbitrage is the purchase of a currency in the monetary center where it is cheaper for immediate resale in that same monetary center, and so it's more expensive when you resell it. It's cheaper when you buy it, more expensive when you sell it, and that is done to make a profit. All right. I have just a few more slides to go. So, you see this slide here? I don't want to confuse you. We're going to have to do a practical example with it, right?
Okay.
So, when we talk about, I'm going to erase this so that we can talk about demand and supply for currencies and how you
Economics. It's kind of dirt. Yeah. Do you see? Oh, wrong one. Okay.
some of the solution to the board. So remember earlier we said that the exchange rate between two currencies is determined by demand and supply for one currency with respect to the other, right? So that's in the spot market, okay? Now in the forward market, you can also calculate the forward rate. So the equilibrium forward rate occurs where the market demand and supply curves for foreign exchange for future delivery, where that occurs. So you'll have the forward currency market, you have the spot market, right? And the forward rate curves are important, demand and the supply for forward rates are important because of the amount of few forwards and futures trading that occur. All right? Within the foreign exchange market, there's a lot of forward and futures trading, and I'll explain what those are, because companies, multinational companies, are trying to lock in a particular rate for a purchase in the future. Here's how that works. So the most popular example, and that's what's used in the book as well, is airplane manufacturers, all right? Whether it's to manufacture the plane or the engines. So they use Boeing as an example. And we'll see that because we're gonna do the practical examples And I actually, in the past, would have taught that before I teach this, because I feel like it's better to just jump into the practical than confuse you, but I decided to stick with the course outline this time and start introduce you to exchange rates. So, think about this. Where is Boeing located? The company Boeing. Google it. Or maybe if you know, you know?
US.
Boeing is in the US. What's your name again?
Jerome.
Jaron. Okay. So Boeing is in the US, right? Does British Airways purchase Boeing planes? Huh? British Airways, the
Most
planes that
likely.
come here, which
Most
plane
likely.
is that? Let's see, of my aircraft enthusiast. The British Airways planes that come here are called what?
Virgin.
Most of them are what? British Airways, that's enough.
Oh, sorry. Well, it's okay. I see I'm not there.
So, no, you're not the aircraft enthusiast. So, the British Airways plane that comes here, anybody knows what it is? Don't worry, it's not for maths. Huh? Usually the 777 comes. Maybe the 737 comes, but the 777 usually comes. All right? Is it a Boeing? Is the 737 Boeing? Huh? Okay. So what is the 737, the 777, whatever it is? 747, anybody remember that? No, you're too young to remember. You're too young to remember 747 coming, right? Okay. All right, so British Airways buys planes from Boeing, all right? Obviously, a plane takes a long time to make, yeah? To build. The size, all of the things they have to do to make it safe, it takes a while, right? So British Airways will put in an order to Boeing for not one aircraft, usually it's more than one, yeah? So they're gonna put in an order for Boeing where they're gonna need to pay Boeing a lot of money for a plane. How much does a plane cost? Anybody knows? Everybody knows how much a plane costs? A big plane. 777. Huh? Millions, right? Now, British Airways is paying for this plane, let's say they're paying for the plane in US dollars, right? They know ahead of time, Boeing is going to tell them how much the plane is going to cost, right? They know the rates, the exchange rate between the pound and the US today, but they don't know it 3 years down the line when this plane will be delivered. I'm not that enthusiastic, I don't know how long they take. Right? So they don't know what the rate is going to be. And so, Boeing will protect itself by entering into either a forward contract for the purchase or a futures contract, right? And we'll look at the differences between forwards and futures. The other way around is when companies are bidding for jobs, all right, overseas, what they tend to do is to bid for the job in the foreign currency, right? And so it means they have to take on some exchange rate risk. So they're going to bid for $1 million job, and they're gonna bid in sterling, because you're a US company bidding in sterling, and so they're going to use sterling. So let's say Boeing is charging British Airways in sterling, right? Now Boeing needs to protect itself against fluctuations in the pound, because remember, it's going to say to Boeing, this aircraft is going to cost, I don't know, 5-10 million pounds, all right? but that aircraft is not going to be delivered for another 3-4 years, maybe more, right? And so, because Boeing is in the US and is going to be accepting sterling, Boeing tries to protect itself against exchange rate fluctuations. So Boeing would go into a forward contract, all right, to get the forward contract to sell. When it collects the sterling, it can enter into a forward contract with a bank, with a foreign exchange dealer, to sell that 10 million sterling when it gets it at a particular rate, right? So that's where forwards and futures come in. And the activity is referred to as hedging. Okay, so you hedge to protect you from foreign exchange exposure. There are some persons who are in the market, your arbitrageurs, who do hedging because of speculation, foreign exchange speculation. They're trying to make money. All right? And so you have forward exchange rates, you have forward discount rates, all right? You have, so within the forward market, you talk about a forward discount, you talk about a forward premium. So the forward discount is the percentage per year by which the forward rate on the currency is below its spot rate. And the forward premium, vice versa, is the percentage per year by which the forward rate on a foreign currency is above its spot rate. And like I said, I really prefer to teach this forwards, futures, how those work when I am teaching the exchange rate protection. All right? So we'll get into that in more detail. So like I had said, a foreign exchange, you have a foreign exchange forwards and you have foreign exchange futures. All right? A forward contract means you come to an agreement with a party, with a counterparty, to purchase or sell currencies at a specified rate at some point in the future. That's a contract between two people. It's considered over the counter because it's between two people. You can set up your contract for any amount you want and at whatever rate. But of course, you're going to look in the market to see what the forward rate is expected to be at the time. Because forward rates are quoted for most of the major currencies, not all currencies. All right? Then you have foreign exchange futures. The foreign exchange future is a forward contract as well. All right? But futures are done in some specific currencies. Not all currencies, you can't buy foreign exchange futures in all currencies. So there's some specific ones, and each currency, the futures contracts are done in some specific denominations, right? So they are for a standardized current amount. So with the forwards, if Boeing wanted to enter into a contract for 10 million pounds, it could enter into a forward contract for 10 million pounds. If it wanted to protect itself using futures, it would now have to determine how many futures contracts do I have to buy that makes up the 10 million pounds. Because futures contracts in different currencies are at a standardized amounts, right? So futures are different than forwards because with futures market, you actually have a middleman. All right? There's a broker and there's a clearinghouse. And so with the futures, They are standardized contracts. You have to purchase the contracts in the amount to come up to the amount you're trying to cover, one. Two, you have to have an account with a foreign exchange broker or, to be able to trade in futures. And the price of a future changes every day. So, futures are traded on an exchange. So you have the Philadelphia exchange and you have the Chicago exchange. They both trade foreign currency futures, right? And like I said, there's a clearinghouse for it. There's one in New York. There's a foreign currency exchange in New York. There's a London, Frankfurt, Germany, Singapore. All right. Like I said, the futures contracts are usually smaller than the forwards, and so they're more useful for smaller companies. They are also more expensive because if you have that middleman in there, it means that you're paying commissions, all right? And you have to have what you call a margin account. We'll get into that, all right? And forward futures contracts mature within a certain time as well. I know that may go over your head a little bit, but read the chapter and we'll come back to it. Okay? Then you have what you call foreign exchange options. Those are also part of the market. And if you purchase an option, it gives you the right but not the obligation to either buy or sell that currency at some point in the future. And we're not going to go into detail on the options right now, but just for your knowledge, all right? The options, like the futures, are in standard sizes as well, all right? And those are traded in the, what we refer to as the international money market. Any questions? Right? So the reason we are even talking about your futures, your forwards, your options is because there is foreign exchanges. And the way that companies mitigate those risks are by entering into futures contracts, forward contracts, and option contracts. Usually manufacturing companies tend to use more forward contracts, and we'll see the reasons for those later on. All right, and because, yeah, we will see the reasons for that later on. So they use these contracts, the forwards, futures, and the options to hedge against foreign exchange or foreign currency risk. All right? Or here I say, or the covering of an open position. An open position would refer to if you are purchasing, if you have purchased some foreign currency and you need to sell it down the road, you have an open position. That's what that means. All right? Then of course there's speculation in the market that those contracts are used for speculation. All right, so that's what we will cover today. Like I said, I'll have the your tutorial lecture go into some more detail with the calculations and so on with you on Friday, so you see that practical side of it.
Okay.
All right?
Yes.
And just trying to think. Oh, okay. So just a bit of advance notice. Remember, I said to you, or well, in the, I might not have said it explicitly, but in the course outline, you have a take-home exam. All right. So how that is going to work? It's something that you're going to have to. It's going to be online. all right? You're going to have some questions. So it's gonna go online as a test, all right? With some questions, I'm telling you now, they're essay questions, all right? They're essay questions, and it will cover everything we do up to next week. Okay, so 3053, I'm referring to, I'll speak with you all separately. So it will cover everything up to next week. And how it will work is that I'm going to open it. It's going to be open for 5 days. But listen carefully. It's up for 5 days. But once you start it, you're going to have a limited amount of time to finish it. Don't worry, it's not 24 hours. All right? Once I put the questions together, because I have a number of them that I'm toying with, once I make that final decision on which ones I will use, I will tell you if it's 48 hours or 72 hours, if you understand, right? So once you start it, then you will have a certain amount of time to finish it. All right?
Yeah.
That's what I said. I'm gonna, once I settle it, it won't be more than 4. Let me say, it won't be more than 5. Maximum 5, but no, I don't normally give that much because it's a lot.
So when you say essay,
The essay.
what word? Also, is there like a word?
Limit?
Yeah. Or like a word in between, like a minute?
I will give you, I will.
Some people want to write books.
So the essay type questions, like I said, it wouldn't be more than 4 questions. 4. I don't want anyone to mark 5 questions.
No problem.
For 40 people, 35 people, no.
Never.
Right. I'm not being lazy, just, I'm being practical.
Yeah.
I'm being practical. So everything up to what we do next week.
Interesting.
And I think I owe you another quiz.
Men.
Huh? Yes, I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, I did. I went back and fixed it.
Yeah.
That means you haven't been in
No.
the portal.
I have been there, but I just haven't checked that one.
So the next one would be balance of payments and
The
this.
foreign exchange.
Foreign
Yeah.
exchange, yeah. Right?
That's right.
I know, it all the time because of that silly mistake.
Same.
Flexible instead of fixed, which is so easy, right?
Yeah,
When you're doing
yes, it
exams,
is.
I don't know.
And next week I will give you the topics for the take home.
Okay.
Well, everything up to next week. Pretty much. Any turkeys in here?
What's it?
Anybody in here turkey? I'm trying to eject my external hard drive and my computer will not allow me to eject it.
don't have it open.
Oh, yeah, and they always have buy one, get one, or buy one, get one half off. No, I know what happened, and I would probably just go and do what I did last time by accident. We had this conversation already.
Wow.
You speak Spanish?
Yeah, I know what happened.
Let's go.
No, I saw this. I shut it down.
Je sais pas, il y a un peu.
I shut it down last night. I don't like it on the console. I'm plugging it.
Install the update.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I just haven't had time.
Okay, yeah.
Trying to figure out.
Yeah, that can be another reason why.
I'm not gonna be able to.